As promised, my compadre from the NFL Network, NFL Media Group, we survived 8.5 hours of pregame show together yesterday, and it is a Super Bowl edition of Mondays with Mooch here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Steve Mariucci?
I'm doing good, Rich. I'm at the airport right now, getting out of Dodge.
Yep.
And I see a lot of sad Patriot fans, and I see a lot of crazy Eagle fans trying to get out of here. Oh, boy.
Well, I'm wondering, which call do you think was more, I guess I know one had more stake to it, but there were two fourth down calls by Doug Peterson yesterday that without either one of them, I think the Patriots are the ones who are happy in that airport today. That fourth down call, instead of kicking a field goal in the first half, that wound up with Nick Foles grabbing a touchdown and then obviously going for it on the minus side of the field in the fourth quarter on fourth down. Which one do you think was more stones, Mooch?
Well, first of all, Rich, Doug Peterson and the Eagles converted 17 fourth downs this year, 17 out of 28, I guess, which is the most in the league. And so he's a little bit of a risk taker, and it's been good to him. And the other thing is, he went for a lot of two-point conversions, and you saw that early in the game too. And so he was pulling out all the stops from the get-go. But the one to Nick Foles for a touchdown, which kind of coincidentally came after Tom Brady's incomplete pass to him. Evidently, that was a call that Nick Foles ran that in high school. Okay, so they went way back. They went back to Nick Foles' offense when he was with Chip Kelly. They went back to his high school. They did some fun things that Nick Foles felt good about, and they've been practicing it for a few weeks. And they called it at the right time. It was wide open, great, perfect execution. But that didn't surprise me as much as the fourth down call that you referred to in their own territory. 4th and 1, and then, of course, they converted it, hit the tight end for a first down. That one was a gutsy call. I'm not sure I'd have done that one, but it sure worked for him.
Well, I mean, I guess he figured that those are the sorts of moments you need. To me, it reminded me it's up there with Sean Payton going onside to kick off the second half.
They opened the second half,
right?
Because the Saints, received the opening kickoff, and then they did the onside kick on the second half and got it. And they had an opening possession in both halves. That's how you beat a Peyton Manning. So I guess you figure you got to take some chances right now, once in a while here. It's been forever since you've been here. You might as well just let her rip.
Yeah, because to me, he felt that he needed to somehow, some way, steal a possession or continue, obviously, his own possession. And then when Ertz scored, I thought they left way too much time on the clock for Tom Brady. That was my first thought. Like, why are all the Eagles fans celebrating, taking the lead when there's two and change to go?
2 minutes, two and change, right? And of course the sack strip fumble and Derek Barnett recovering. It was like, okay, if your defense is ever going to make a stop in this game, I'm talking Patriots defense, this is it, because you can keep this to a one-possession game. They had good use of their timeouts. They took the timeout with 2:03. Then they had the 2-minute warning, stop the clock. And that defense of the Patriots really, stiffened and forced the field goal and kept it a one-possession game for Tom Brady. And all 5 of his Super Bowls that he's won, it required a game-winning drive. So it's like, here we go again. You left too much time twice for Tom Brady.
But then Brandon Graham made the defensive play of the night. Pretty much the only pressure that I think either quarterback felt for much of the night, and that really changed the fortunes. And even with all that, is the Patriots had one last throw to the end zone to win it. Steve Mariucci joining me here as he's flying out of town here on the Rich Eisen Show from the Super Bowl city of Minneapolis.
Rich, I got a question.
Yeah.
Where's Brandon Graham from?
That's right. Well, look, don't think I didn't notice that Brady tried to move the ball in. He was tucking it away just as a Michigan man.
Like the tuck rule with with Michigan on Michigan crime with Woodson.
That's
And
right.
this one was Brandon Graham on Brady. What's going on over there?
And Foles would spend a cup of coffee in East Lansing, as we all know, before
Yeah.
in his journey. I mean, what in the world do you think is going through Nick Foles' brain this morning, Steve?
You know, he's such a squared away kid. You saw his daughter on the stage, and he doesn't get too up or too down. He takes it all in stride. He's a class act, and he fits in over there. It's going to be what'll be the off-season discussion. What do you do with Nick Foles if you're Howie Roseman? But Rich, I would think he's just very grateful that he had this opportunity and he delivered for his teammates. But I also do think they're going to have to make business decisions with him. As awesome as that city is fired up about Nick Foles, they are loyal to Carson Wentz. You know that. There's no controversy over there. And I think they're going to keep him on the roster as a backup next year at $4 million and then see how Carson Wentz's leg holds up. They can kind of play him through the season. And then before the draft or the trade deadline, then they can decide if they're going to trade Nick Foles. But I certainly wouldn't do it now because you don't know if you're going to get Carson Wentz healthy in the first game or not. So I'd go with that pitching staff again for the opening of the season and decide next year.
So what about Malcolm Butler, Steve? I mean, it's really odd that somebody who plays 98% of the defensive snaps all year long, as Matt Patricia said after the game, that the packages or the rotation just didn't call for him to be out there, and Belichick saying it wasn't something disciplinary that kept him off the field. What in the world do you think happened with him?
Well, I don't know what happened. What I was thinking, it was disciplinary. That's what I was thinking. I mean, for crying out loud, he won the Super Bowl for him a couple years ago when he intercepted Russell Wilson's pass. So you think he might be one of the guys that could help him win. and then when Nick Foles is throwing the ball around like crazy, you go, boy, I wonder why they don't play Malcolm Butler. He's playing in special teams, but I don't know what happened or about the scheme or about any discipline, but it's strange that one of their very good football players was not on the field helping them out because Nick Foles throws for 380 yards and they can't stop him. So they're not going to give you any answers. You know how that works, but he's a good kid. I think he's going to be a free agent too.
He said
he played his last game.
He said that they gave up on him. That's what he said, that the team gave up on him. I mean, that is truly one of the more bizarre aspects of last night.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know because unless he leaves and tells the story, but I don't think we're going to hear it from the Pats why he didn't play. But it's just one of those other storylines in I don't know.
Right.
Look to be a factor in this game.
All right, before I let you go on your flight there, Steve, I mean, what sort of coaching job do you think Doug Peterson did? I'd love to give you the floor here. I mean, the guy loses his left tackle, he loses his starting quarterback. We could go on and on here.
I think I'm really proud of him, and you know, I watched him grow up in this league from a young backup quarterback. Never really got much chance to play, but he was a student of the game. Always was a student of the game, and he had to study like crazy because he never got a lot of reps. So he certainly has done well for himself, and he relates well with the players, having been think about this. You have a backup quarterback in Doug Peterson. That was his role in the NFL as a player. Offensive coordinator Frank Reich, he's a backup quarterback, had some great comeback wins and all that baloney. And they win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback in Nick Foles. And it's kind of like, the guys that weren't the superstar, the five-star athletes or the Pro Bowlers coming to roost, and all of these guys are having great success together. And you know what? The Eagles are, with all those injuries, Jason Peters at left tackle and all of these guys that come back, Sproles next year, with two good quarterbacks, they're equipped pretty well to try to stay on top and be the favorite. It's going to be fun to watch, but I'm so proud of Doug Peterson for what he represents. He's a great man and a great coach.
Yeah, that kid Clement, Kurt Warner's X Factor. He had a heck of a night.
Where did that guy come from? I mean, he looks
Wisconsin.
Like a seasoned veteran, that guy. Terrific.
That always happens in the Super Bowl where some kid becomes
You're right.
hits the stage and is and just has the huge spotlight cast on him. And then who knows moving forward. They got Ajayi in the middle of the season. I mean, it all clicked for them. And I'll be honest,
Darby, they just did such a good job. And Garrett Blunt, they added to that team, and all the points they scored in the playoffs were newbies, all new guys that Howie Roseman either traded for or drafted, were brand new guys that contributed like crazy, and they'll all be back next year.
Unbelievable. All right, Mooch, great season, great times. I'll see you.
I will see you soon. I'll see you at the Combine.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, then I guess which kid are you looking forward most to seeing at the Combine? Getting on that grease board and doing the interviews for NFL Network.
Yeah, let's face it. I can't wait to see these quarterbacks because it's a really good class. There's probably going to be 4 guys drafted in the first round in terms of quarterbacks, and Baker Mayfield, and Josh Allen, and the 2 LA kids with Rosen and Darnold. And so, and it's not just about them. I just love watching this new talent come into our league. About 300 kids from this year's class will be playing in our league next year. And so I'd like to see what they look like in their underwear, weighing in over there and getting measured up. Let's go. I can't wait.
Just 2 weeks away. All right, Mooch, safe flight. Thanks again for calling in as much as you did this year.
You.
You got it.
Yeah,
It's Steve Mariucci calling in from the Minneapolis airport where we're headed after this day is over here.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.